She gave him a sandwich and a smile when the world gave him nothing. Years later, as a wealthy man, he finally found her again. And what she told him shattered everything he thought he knew. Nate was cold, hungry, and invisible. Once a promising artist, he'd lost everything after a series of bad choices and worse luck. Family stopped calling. Friends disappeared. Days blurred together on hard benches and forgotten sidewalks. But one rainy evening, soaked to the bone and shivering near a bakery, a teenage girl had walked up to him. No camera, no audience, just kindness. She handed him a bag with a sandwich, a small bottle of water, and a folded napkin with 4 words written on it. "You still matter today." She didn't ask for anything in return. She just smiled and walked away. He never forgot her face. Years passed. Nate turned his life around. He got clean, found work, picked up painting again. One lucky commission led to another, and soon his name was back, this time on gallery walls and not in forgotten folders. Now a successful artist with a story the world loved, Nate always credited that moment. That stranger's act of kindness. But he never found her. Until one day, at a local youth charity event he was asked to support, he saw a familiar smile across the hall. And his world paused. Nate stood frozen, heart thudding louder than the applause around him. She was older now, maybe mid-20s, but it was her. Same gentle eyes, same calm presence. He would have known that face anywhere. She was speaking to a group of teens, guiding them through an art station, her sleeves rolled up, hands smudged with paint. Nate walked over slowly, unsure what he'd say. "Excuse me," he said, voice low. She turned, and for a second her smile faltered. "Yes?" "I don't know if you remember me," he said. "It was years ago, outside a bakery. You gave me a sandwich and—" Her expression softened immediately. "And a napkin," she whispered. "I remember." Nate stared at her, stunned. "You do?" She nodded. "You looked like someone the world had forgotten. But something about you, I just couldn't walk past." His throat tightened. "You didn't just feed me. You changed everything." She smiled again. "I hoped it helped. I never knew what happened after." "I found that napkin in my coat pocket every day for 6 months, Nate said, emotion in his voice. "Every time I wanted to give up, I'd read those 4 words. I still have it." She looked down, moved. "I'm glad you made it through." Nate paused. "I've been looking for you for years. I wanted to thank you. Properly." She hesitated, then took a breath. "There's something I never told you." He frowned. "What?" She looked up at him, eyes full of something deeper now. Regret, hope, truth. "I wasn't just a kind stranger that day," she said softly. "I knew who you were." Nate blinked. "What?" She nodded. "My dad used to hang your early paintings in our cafe. I recognized you the moment I saw you on that sidewalk." He was speechless. "I didn't help a stranger that day," she said. "I helped the man who once helped me dream big, through every brushstroke I grew up looking at." Nate's chest rose and fell as the truth settled in. All this time he thought she saved him. But maybe, just maybe, it had always gone both ways. The noise of the room faded, and all Nate could hear was the sound of her voice, soft, steady, and echoing in every corner of his chest. "You knew," he said slowly, trying to process it. "All this time, you knew who I was?" She nodded. "I used to sit in my dad's cafe for hours, just staring at your paintings on the wall. I was 13 when I first saw them. You made the world feel bigger than my small town. You made it feel possible." He stepped back, overwhelmed. "I thought I was just some ghost on the sidewalk that day. I thought you were a stranger who changed everything with 4 words." "I was a girl," she said gently, "returning the hope you gave me, without even knowing it." Nate looked away for a second, swallowing the knot in his throat. "Why didn't you ever come forward?" She smiled faintly. "Because it was never about recognition. That moment wasn't about who you were, but who you could be again." He stared at her for a long moment. "And now here we are." "Full circle," she said, almost a whisper. A group of teens called her from across the room, waving her back toward the art table. She raised her hand in response, but didn't move. "I work here now," she said. "This nonprofit helps kids who've been through loss, addiction, poverty. They use art to heal, just like I did, just like you did." Nate looked around, the walls filled with drawings, splashes of color, hope in every corner. "Let me help," he said quietly. "Let me be part of this." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "You'd do that?" "I owe everything to a girl who handed me a sandwich and a reason to breathe again," he said. "You turned one small moment into a lifetime. Let's do that for them." She smiled, a real one this time. Soft, grateful, alive. And as she turned to walk back to the kids, Nate stood still, watching her go, not just as the girl who had once saved him, but as the woman who helped him remember the artist, the fighter, the human he was always meant to be. Later that night, long after the event ended and the lights dimmed in the hall, Nate stood alone in front of one of the children's paintings, a burst of bright colors that made no sense and yet felt like everything. He heard footsteps behind him. It was her. "I didn't think you'd still be here," she said softly. He turned, smiling. "Couldn't leave, not without saying something." She waited. "You didn't just help me survive," he said. "You gave me a second life, and you didn't even need a spotlight to do it." She folded her arms, gently. "Maybe the quietest moments are the ones that echo the longest." Nate stepped closer. "What's your name? I mean, really, I never even asked." She laughed softly. "Maya." "Maya," he repeated, like it was something sacred. "I'd like to fund your entire program, every canvas, every brush, every child. You shouldn't have to stretch kindness on a shoestring budget." Her lips parted, surprised. "Nate, that's a lot." "It's not enough," he said, "but it's a start." Maya looked at him for a long moment, as if trying to decide if this was still real. Then she simply said, "Thank you." But Nate shook his head. "Number thank you? For seeing me when I couldn't see myself?" She smiled, and for a few quiet seconds, they stood there like that. Not in debt, not in sorrow, not in memory. Just present. Alive, connected by a single moment that neither of them planned, but both of them carried. As they turned off the lights and stepped out into the cool night, Nate looked up at the sky and thought, some stars don't shine in the sky. Some walk around in quiet shoes, handing out hope without needing anyone to clap. Because sometimes, what you give away in a quiet moment comes back to you in ways the world can't explain. Share this story. Someone out there needs to believe that small kindness still matters. Twilight.